Hello everybody, welcome to Nature's People. Today I'm going to talk about a really interesting topic, which is coffee good or bad for you? Okay, let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to break down the effects of caffeine overly throughout the body. So caffeine, it is a stimulant, or a psychoactive drug, the most unregulated psychoactive drug out there in the market. Why? Because the amount of caffeine required or that would cause an overdose are so much high that you cannot really do in a sitting, and your body has really fine and really efficient ways of sort of breaking it down. So caffeine is really interesting. So getting right on the effects it has on the whole body, I'll start off from the brain. So coffee in the brain, it locks up or sort of has affinity to some receptors in all, in most, or if not all, your brain cells that are regulated with metabolism. So this substance or this molecule that is actually responsible to make you feel tired, groggy, or sort of, laid back, it's called adenosine. So adenosine triphosphate, I guess you guys might have heard of ATP. So ATP, it's a molecule that's actually used inside the cells, more specifically in an organelle called mitochondria. So it's broken down, glucose is transformed into ATP. So ATP, it's a ready available currency type of molecule that all cells have sort of receptors, or a better way of saying, like, they know what to do with it. So coffee, locks out into the adenosine receptors. Because the molecular structure is so similar, it locks in there. However, because it's not completely equal or completely similar or exactly similar with adenosine, coffee ends up having a cascade of effects in the brain and throughout the whole body subsequently. So starting off to what it happens is that when you consume coffee, it starts locking up in those adenosine receptors, and as I mentioned prior, adenosine is responsible to sort of control your circadian rhythms, make you feel tired and sleep. Basically, it's really intrinsically correlated with the sleep cycles. So what happens is, like, when coffee starts locking up in many of these receptors all across your cerebrum, brainstem, cerebellum, all the organs in the brain, what happens is that it has an indirect effect. So instead of making you feel groggy, it has the reverse effect. It makes you feel excited, happy, activated, and happy and ecstatic. So now I would like to specify one specific aspect or interesting aspect about coffee mid-video. So I'll say again, I'm specifying an interesting fact about coffee. All northern nations across the world are heavy consumers of coffee. And you talk about Canada, you talk about the US, you talk about the Nordic countries, Scandinavian, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Russia, the Netherlands. They are heavy consumers of coffee. One of the reasons that is, like, the average consumption is 600, between 250 to 600 milligrams of caffeine per day. Why is that? It's because coffee is actually really intrinsically related, or I would rather say it really helps to suppress depression and sense of feeling down. So coffee has positive things. It helps depression, it helps control your heart rate, it helps regulate the acidity in your stomach, it helps control the cycles of the circadian rhythms. So that's some facts there, some advantages of coffee. So that's mid-video. I'm going to progress and continue talking what happens in your brain under the effects of caffeine. So when you keep consuming coffee, what happens is that all these molecules, because they lock up in the activation part of the brain, the sympathetic part of your brain kicks in. So you're talking about flight and fight. You become more active, you become more energized. Why? Because coffee, interestingly, it activates certain parts of your brain that are responsible to control the adrenal glands. So adrenal glands produce something called epinephrine, which is also called adrenaline more commonly. So adrenaline is it's a stress hormone. It activates you. It's to put you in a state of fear, of attention, of sharpness, basically. So because it activates these regions, the adrenals pump a lot of adrenaline or a lot of epinephrine. So at the same time, coffee activates norepinephrine, which is slightly regulated with adenosine. Coffee also helps release certain amounts, not too much, of dopamine, which is good. And also it rewires or sort of sets up a good established connection between your noradrenergic pathways as well as your dopaminergic pathways. So that's one interesting thing about coffee, guys. I don't want to make the video long. I'll end up by saying that our coffee actually affects all organs of the body. However, the effects are more of a response from the brain throughout the organs. Say for instance, coffee increases the acidity of your stomach. Like, so when you eat coffee, it augments the excretion or the excretory aspect of your epithelial cells in the stomach, so your stomach will produce more acid. However, that's a response from the brain, because in the brain there's some receptors to produce acid, some nerve receptors. So the nerve receptors, because they're activated, they want to work. So they tell the cells, guys, we need to burn energy, we have a lot of energy, let's do it. So that's what happened basically. So guys, that's your video for coffee for you guys. I don't want to make the video long. Coffee affects the brain and the rest of the body, activates it. Now I'll talk about slight disadvantages. The disadvantages of coffee is like heavy consumption actually deregulates the pathways that are responsible to make you feel happy and enlightened and sharp, and you need more coffee to feel the same effect, just like what happens with most neurosecretory substances out there. Thank you for watching, guys. Stay tuned, like, share, subscribe. The channel's growing. Please stay tuned and see you in the next one.